Hi, Pinacate students and parents. My name is Eric Anderson, and I teach computer science discoveries. I'd like to tell you a little bit about class in preparation for back to school night so that when you come and participate in our Google Meet during your child's class session, you can come with questions if you have them, and I can clarify anything that doesn't make sense or is still confusing. So I'm going to talk about both of my classes because I teach two. I teach Computer Science Discoveries A, which is what we're looking at the syllabus for that class now. And I also teach Computer Science Discoveries B. They look almost identical because there's only one letter that's different, and that's this. And usually that means that seventh graders are typically put in the A class, and eighth graders can continue their learning in the B class. But this year, the A class has both seventh and eighth graders in it. And so I'll be talking about both classes. They're largely the same, except for a few of the topics that I teach are different in each class. So I'll tell you a little bit about class in general, and these things are true for students and parents in both classes. My name is the same in both classes. Um, I happen to serve as the chairperson in the electives department, which covers the classes like drama and PLTW and theater and Spanish. Um, if we were on campus, I would have room numbers, but now in distance learning, I don't have a room number. And this is my school phone number. If you need to, don't use the extension because that'll just dial my room. You can call but this is the base number for school if you ever need to reach anybody at school. And here's my email. This is the most important thing in this whole contact information area because your student, everybody's welcome to email me at that address, eric.anderson@puhsd.org, and I respond usually very quickly within the hour during normal business hours, during school hours, and definitely the following day if it comes in the evening time. I might get an email in the evening. I'll definitely respond the next day. So here's important stuff that you all need to know and remember about class, and this is just about school in general, that live online classes happen on Mondays and Wednesdays for periods 1, 3, 5, and 7, okay? And live online classes Tuesdays and Thursdays for periods 2 and 4. And then also on Fridays, period 2 meets very briefly, usually just for a few minutes, sometimes for the whole class, but it depends on the teacher. All sessions in my class will be held through Google Meet. I do calendarize those meetings, and so students can see the link. Here's an example of a Google Classroom. The link to our online sessions is always right at the top, right there, okay? So students can always find the link to our online meetings right there. Okay, I do have office hours, what are called office hours, which means I'm available to answer questions by email or by chat when students are not online in their class. So for example, Mondays and Wednesdays, periods 2 and 4, for those students who are taking my class and we don't meet on that day, they're still welcome to email me with any questions that they have. And I respond usually immediately. And so the same thing for students that I don't meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays, periods 1 through 5 and 7. Again, they can email me during class time, and I respond usually immediately unless I'm trying to answer another email first. And then this is 1 through 7, except period 2. Okay, so the general online behavior that I look for when we're meeting is that students don't have to have their video on. I like it. I think it's nice and I encourage them to turn their videos on, but they don't have to. Students must mute their microphones at all times unless they're speaking. So students are well aware of these rules because I reinforce them all the time. And the chat feature in our online session is only for official school business. And that's true in both my classes. So I don't allow the students to spam the chat or do anything that's inappropriate or off track from what we're trying to do in class. Okay, so this is specifically for my CS Discoveries A class. This is an overview of the course description. But instead of just talking about that, I'm going to take you through what we're going to actually do for the 2 semesters. You can see that there are very few required materials, just a Chromebook and internet access. And I do post most everything in Google Classroom. So we've already covered the history of computing. We already finished that unit, and now we're halfway through the how the internet works unit. From there, we'll be going to Scratch and CS first, where we're going to be learning how to block code, and then from there, kids are going to be working on a project and developing their own personal website. This is the longest unit of the semester. It takes about half the semester to do. And so by the end, students should have a finished product, and they will know how to program in HTML and CSS programming languages. So it's really an awesome accomplishment once students finish that. In semester 2, we're going to be doing another long unit. You can see this one's 12 weeks long, so 3 months long. They're going to be designing and animating their own video game with drag and drop coding. So that's an exciting unit. Students usually really like that. We're going to be doing a unit in 3D design, where students will learn how to manipulate objects in a 3D software environment, and then hopefully I will be able to get on campus and 3D print some of the completed projects. And then finally, we're going to round off the year with an introduction to Python programming, and that will set students up for continuing in my 8th grade class the following year with a good solid background in not only drag and drop coding, but also HTML and Python coding. So, and they can always enhance those skills in my after school club called Masters of Code. And that's something maybe you want to ask me about at back to school night. I'll have more information about that. But here's information about the grading policy, and this is true for both classes. Weekly assignments, unit projects, portfolio management, and informal assessments. The unit projects definitely count for the most. It's almost half the grade. So we did just have one called the research project in the history of computing. And so those big projects, students definitely want to pay attention to those and do their very best. I know they want to do their best all the time, but especially for the unit projects. And this is the grading scale, your typical grading scale. Anything between 90 and 100 is an A, etc. And just one more word about academic honesty. It's super important that students understand that copying and pasting off the internet is never appropriate. Copying and pasting something off the internet and pretending that you wrote it or that it came from you or you developed it is called plagiarism, and that's a form of cheating. As an adult, you can be prosecuted for that, serve time in jail. You definitely don't want to go down that road. So I'm encouraging students a lot. I'm not even accepting work where I notice where that the writing has been copied and pasted from the internet. Students have to redo it. I won't even grade it if students are not doing their own authentic writing in class for any assignment. So that's a basic overview, and I'd just like to talk for a couple more minutes. Thank you, Computer Science Discoveries B students and parents, for waiting. The only difference between this class and the last one is what we actually learn and go over in class. So I'd like to go over that briefly for those students and their parents. The first 3 weeks were the same. We did history of computing, but then we just started our unit in apps development. This is 8 to 9 weeks long, and students will be designing and building and programming their own app that the purpose for which is to help somebody else, to help their community or any community around the world, to help another group of people or another individual achieve something or do something. That's the focus of this unit. It focuses on design process and empathy for someone besides yourself. So it's usually pretty good. I usually see some really nice projects out of this. We're also going to do 3D design in this class, so that is the same as the A class. And then we're also going to be doing an intro to Python because this year, like I said, I have 7th and 8th grade students in the B class. I have 8th graders in this year's class. Sorry, I get confused. Last year, since the year was cut short, they didn't get exposure to Python. And so this year I'm doing the intro for the 8th graders as well. And then in semester 2, we'll be doing a 6-week unit on data and society. And then an advanced Python unit and turtle graphics, creating graphical designs with code. Then we're going to be doing an advanced scratch exploration, advanced 3D design unit right here, and then finally a capstone project, which is where the students think about their place in the future digital world, and they create some completely authentic and original artifact or product for the future. So it's a really interesting unit. I see a lot of good stuff come out of that. And who knows, it might be a great idea that your student can actually capitalize on and make money on. It has happened before, not from my class, but we talk about some teenage entrepreneurs that have made tens of millions of dollars by capitalizing on their idea that they had during science class or computer science class. So it's an exciting unit too. And so that's a very rough overview of class and the important aspects of class. You can see that there's, these are the people on the right hand side, the counselors and principals and assistant principals. And I'd be glad to share this document with you, although students can also access it in our Google Classroom and in Canvas. So if you have any questions, don't be shy. Email me, give me a call. The school will let me know if you tried to call. And email is the best way to go, though. And I look forward to seeing you back to school night. Thank you very much.